Welcome back to another exciting school year. In this tutorial, we are going to show you how to set up your gradebook on Q. Okay, for you are going to click on staff, but for me, we're going to click on Sandbox. And of course, you're going to use your school username and password. And if you are logging on to Q for the first time, you will see those widgets, okay? But before you do anything, you need to change the date to the first day of school, so that way you can see all your classes. Now, to edit the gradebook, under menu, you're going to click on Mark and Gradebook. And notice there are no classes up here because you haven't selected a class yet. And what you're going to do is choose one of the class. I want to choose the first one, okay? And then from there, notice you have the configuration have not been set up for those courses. What we're going to do is we're going to create or configure for one of the class, and then we're going to use copy setup and apply for all the classes later, okay? So that way keep things a lot more straightforward. So to start, we are going to Preferences, click on Preferences, and read through it and choose which would you like to display to your student. And this is the one we chose for our class. So these are the preferences that we have for our class. You can have your own, okay? Then click Submit. Now, next thing, you're gonna go to Option. And again, we are still working with that same class. Under Option, you have the grading option. In this case, you're gonna choose numerical score values. And then if you just do basic point methods, but we don't in this case, what we like to do is we like to use percentage. And percentage, basically you have percentage for assessment, homework, and so on, and they worth different percentage. So be careful, make sure you choose academic, okay? Then from here you have the option to display or not to display. And of course, this is what we're gonna choose for my class. You can choose it for your own class, okay? Notice I didn't do anything over here, and you also see that first semester period 1 is checked. That's because that's the class we're working on. So we are going to click Submit. Now we're going to go to the categories, and notice how we chose percentage based on category. Now we're going to create a category. So click on Add, okay? And what we have is assessment. Notice how percentage is out of 100, but for Q, we're not going to use out of 100, but instead we're going to use out of 10. So for assessment, which include our test and quiz, it is 60%, but if we're not going to type 60, we're going to type 6. Remember, it's out of 10. And then you can add another category, as many categories you need to have. In this case, our next one is assignments. And assignment is 30%, so we're going to put a 3. And then lastly, we have participation. This is our favorite one because it motivates our students to do their work. And instead of putting 10, we're putting 1. And notice how I haven't done anything over here. And I click Submit. Okay? And this category are created for period 1. Now we're going to go to grading scale. And if you would like to create your own grading scale, that's fine. Click on Add. And you have all those options, okay? So you can change the color and so on. Minimum, that's the minimum percentage. What's an A plus? 97%. Well, and then you can choose a color if you like to. But what we're going to do is not going to create our own grading scale, but we're going to use a default one. So I'm going to apply default, okay? And this is the grading scale that's provided to us by default. And click OK. And there you go. And if you want to change the color, you're going to click on Edit. And now you can change the color to anything you like. Let's change this to blue just because it's cool. So now let's click Submit. There you go. You have your color changes. So far this only applies to period 1. The next thing is scoring options, okay? Now scoring option, remember on Infinite Campus you have M for missing, C for cheating, L for late, and so on. Here is great because you can customize your own code. For me, I have M. I'm not going to put missing. I'm going to put did not turn in. So that way we know that the student did not turn in. Instead of me, could be the one responsible for missing. And then I'm going to click on Add. And then C for cheating. Okay. And then notice how it has percentage. Well, did not turn in, you get 0%, and you're cheating, you get 0%. But what if you have students who transfer from another class that's super late and you want their work to be excused, and we're gonna call something E, stand for excuse. Okay, that means it doesn't count against them or toward them. And instead of putting percentage, you're gonna put ignore task. And again, you can change different color if you want to. Let's make this pink and make this cheating really red stand out, and make this did not turn in, make it to an orange. Okay, your choice. Now, and here's another awesome thing that you can do is remember how you have different penalty for the work that's turning late for a certain number of days, and you can control that here. For example, you have put 1D, right? 1D, and that would be 1 day late. Okay, and instead of putting 100%, if you put 80%, now when you put in the score, it automatically calculate 80% of what the student earned. And that's awesome because now you don't have to do the math. Okay, and you can do another one so far for a 2 day, and then you can click on submit. And there you go. Remember, it's still first period. Now for the groups, this is when you have a specific group of students that you would like to assign the task to or not to assign the task to. I think this is a little bit confusing. If you want to learn more about it, feel free to look into it. But group is optional. You don't need to add group, okay? Because remember, you have that option of putting E as excuse. Why do you need to do group again? Just put the letter E and put a little note to it. Let's move on to the next thing, assignments. And of course, to add assignment, basically, instead of using the word add assignment on Q, is used to add task. So they use the word task for a general term of assignments. So click on add, and what you have here is the page where you have the configuration for assignment, where apply to, in this case, where would you like to assign the task or the assignment to, and assign on, display on. But one thing you need to worry about is this, is be careful with the category, okay? And here we have something very confusing, is the weight. By default is 1. Remember, we put a weight on different category rate. This is like another layer of weighted category. So by default, it should be 1, unless you want that assignment to worth double of what it is. If you put a 2, if the assignment worth 10 point, now it is 20 point. So be careful. And of course, you have the option of choosing if it's hidden or it's extra credit, and then you can upload the assignment if you want to. In this case, I'm going to click cancel, okay, because I don't want to create an assignment yet. Now, this is my favorite one, but before we do that, let's go down to configuration, and notice how we only have first period configured, because I'm going to show you a secret where you can do this for every single one of them. And the way you do this is copy setup. And what you're going to do is this. Notice how we have all of this right here, right? Class option, and choose the class that you work on. This is the only class we work on so far, but what you can do is this. You can choose all of this for all the period right there. See right there? Is that awesome? And then you click submit. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, submit. And now you go back to configuration. We just did for option, right? And look what happened right there. Like, what is going on? And look at this. It changed something, isn't it? The problem is when you do copy setup, it doesn't have the option for academic or mark grade. So to bypass, another way to do this is select all, okay, and then submit. Now you go back to configuration. Look what happened. So that will solve your problem. Now let's go to category. So we create category for first period, right? So click on category for item to copy. And of course, the only class we create is first period. And now notice how everything is there. So we're going to choose all of them, and then we're going to click submit. And there you go. Let's go back to configuration. It should all be set up nice and neat. Now let's go to grading scale. Again, copy setup. Do we have grading scale? There you go. Select your first period. Okay. Now you're going to choose all of them and click submit. And you double check again under configuration. Look at that. It's all done for you. And then last thing, scoring option. Score option. again, first period, and you're gonna select all the terms, and you're gonna click submit. Boom, done. Configuration done. Group, we don't really care about it. Okay, and that is how you set up your gradebook on Q system. And now you just go back to create your assignment. Under classes, you're going to click on class marks, okay? And that will open this to you. But what you're going to do is next is you under class again, you're going to go to gradebook. And now you have the option of adding new tasks. So instead of adding new assignments, it's adding new tasks. And now you can just create your assignment. And when you input your grade, I would recommend you click on the spreadsheet because you can just input the score going down the list. And that is how you set up Gradebook. Now let's talk about creating seating chart. So to create a seating chart, it's pretty straightforward. You go to class and seating chart. To design your seating chart, you just click on the box where would you like to have the seat to be located, and then put in the name. Okay, I'm gonna put in J18. Okay, J18 or J12 doesn't really matter. Something that you remember, and then you click submit. Now that new seating chart is there to go. So what you're going to do next is that before you can even assign student, okay, notice how we click on find seating chart. It has that seating chart right there. And click select, okay. If you have other seating chart, for example, you're teaching a science classroom where you have lab station, you can create a seating chart based on the lab station, okay. So that's very convenient. But now we just create a seating chart based on the normal seating. So to assign students, see, you just click on assign student. And notice how you can assign them randomly, and then that's pretty much it. And you can move the student any way you like. And then you click submit, and that will save the seating chart. Now you can take attendance based on seating chart. So this is what the seating chart is going to look like. Another important thing that you need to learn from the Q system is how do you refer student to administrator. So all you do is under menu, okay, you're going to click on behavior and click on student discipline. You click on add, and that gives you the option to choose different administrator, and of course the type and a short description and the involvement in terms of if you add involvement, who else is involved in the incident, okay? And that's pretty much easy, and you press submit. If you like this type of tutorial on how to use technology in our education field, or you would like updates on future tutorials, click subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Twitter. And follow us on our journey to implement technologies to provide equity and support our students in our class.